From Washington, D.C., Roland Martin, good morning.
Tom Sybil, God, great interview there with,
wasn't it?
With your frat
alpha man.
Yeah.
My alpha brother, Lionel Richie. Yes, you know,
Had to
the
mention
man
that.
who made the right choice when he was at Tuskegee. Smart man. Speaking of that, let me give a shout out to the Brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha in St. Louis. They had their 100th anniversary on Saturday. I had the great chance to be the keynote speaker there, and so certainly enjoyed being with the bros there. Packed house, Epsilon Lambda, and of course that was at night. And earlier that day, at morning, I did the Tennessee State graduation. Unbelievable time with the graduates there in that class. So Dr. Glenda Glover, certainly thank you so very much.
She's the best.
Invite. He's
Glenda Glover is the best.
Absolutely. So I had a good time with all the folks there, and so my topic was called "Do You?" And so we'll be streaming "Do You." That's right, "Do You." Let's. One of the things that, if you reflect on the last 25 years, for me, the last 11 of those 25 years, is that if you really, really understand it, reading between the jokes and the fun and the laughter and the music and all of that, is that a purpose that this show served was what I call the reprogramming of Black America. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't mean reprogramming in terms, again, of music and formats. What I'm talking about is the reprogramming of the minds of Black people. Dorothy Cotton was one of the few women who was in the inner circle of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Her job was to run the citizenship education program. If you wanted to come into the SCLC, you just couldn't just join and go to a meeting and go to a protest or something along those lines. What she would do is she would bring you in, you would come to the program, and then she would do an assessment of you to determine whether you needed to be reprogrammed before you can join SCLC. This was a clearly defined program. Get her book, If Your Back's Not Bent, the role of the citizenship education program in the civil rights movement. I had the honor of interviewing her 3 months before she passed last year. And so when you talk about this reprogramming, what we have to understand is that Black folks have been so impacted by white supremacy, so impacted to the point that we literally walk around, many of us, believing that we are second-class citizens and believing that what is Black is secondary, needing white validation. If you actually think about this show and what it has meant, what it has said is that we don't have to do what others do or seek somebody else's validation. We can actually love and be impressed by what we do, emphasize what we do, emphasize Blackness, being unapologetic about that, and letting other folks know ain't nothing wrong with loving what is Black, supporting what is Black, backing what is Black, and not being ashamed to do it. Had a brother who once told me, he said, "Man, when you gonna get you a show?" I said, "Well, what are you being? I'm on TV 5 days a week." He said, No. I mean a real show, like on CNN or MSNBC. I said, "Do you realize that at the time this was when Brian Williams was at the NBC?" I said, "Do you realize when Brian Williams comes to Washington, D.C., he literally sits in the exact same chair that I do?" I said, "Do you realize that the set that you see, the cameras, the walls, the background, it's the same one he uses?" I said, "Do you realize that when we did my TV One show," I said, "Do you realize that we contract with NBC News Channel?" I said, "So you think that because the show's on TV One, it's less than a CNN or MSNBC, but it's literally from NBC News Channel." In his mind, because it was a Black network, he believed that it was second. He believed it was less than. That has happened on numerous occasions. There are Black people who are listening. Trust me, some have said, "Well, you know it's a Black business." As if somehow you ain't never had a problem with a white business. What I'm saying is that what has to continue, even though Tom retires, even though you're not going to be hearing Sybil's voice and my voice and God's voice and others through this platform, We have to continue the reprogramming of Black America to get our people to understand that if you make a commitment to Black people, to love Black people, to showcase Black people, that does not mean we cannot compete or work somewhere else. It simply means we chose to love our own people in our own way and do our own thing. It also means that we begin to change our view. Christmas is coming up. And that some Black people are going to kill themselves to buy their kids a pair of LeBron James shoes. And I understand. But maybe reprogramming Black people means teaching your kid, baby, I'm going to buy you a pair of Nike stock instead of a pair of shoes. Maybe reprogramming means that I don't have to wear the latest fashion thing to affirm myself. Baby, I can wear something that's no name and still know I'm good. Reprogramming means we learn how to love one another and stop when I see a brother saying, what's up, my nigga, saying, what's up, my brother, what's up, my sister. See, that's far more affirming than using words that white folks have used to oppress us. We have to continue this notion of reprogramming ourselves because in 24 years, America is going to be a nation majority people of color. And nothing would be more shameful than would be for us to be asking somebody else to tell our story because we didn't support our own. One of the reasons I created Roland Martin Unfiltered was because this day was coming. I articulated saying that there has to be a platform that takes another level when this show ends. People say, well, why are you saying that? I said, because when one thing ends, other things have to continue. When Robert Abbott knew he was going to retire from the Chicago Defender, he trained his nephew to take it over. Secession in Black America is important because we can't continue to recreate the wheel when it comes to our community. We need to continue to be reprogrammed. We need to tell the next generation that, no, you don't have to live by white validation. That when we celebrate a Black kid going to Harvard or going to Yale, we can have the exact same celebration when they choose to go to Howard or Spelman or Morehouse. The day has come when we must refuse to accept white supremacy and then believe that we are inferior. We are not inferior. And what this show has said to Black folks is we are better than, and we are just as good, and we can continue to excel. That's what it means to be Black and proud to be Black and unapologetically Black.
My man.
Let the church say.
Thank
Amen.
you. Thank you, Roland.
Amen.
I have to say, I learned it from John H. Johnson.
There you go. The continuation.
All right, Roland.
Great job,
All right,
Roland.
folks.